Hello, my name is John Altman. I'm one of the baseball coaches at Papillion La Vista South High School. My role at Papio South is that I'm the head JV coach, and my area of expertise is primarily working with our pitchers at the JV and varsity level. Today I'm going to give a brief breakdown of your son's pitching mechanics. We'll talk about our pitching philosophies at Papio South and kind of give you an idea of things to focus on throughout the offseason in preparation for next year. Okay, so when we look at pitchers' video, we primarily focus on their hips and lower half. Okay, so we have Brett's video here from our camp this summer. And so I'm just going to kind of take a look at how Brett throws and take a look at his mechanics and see kind of where he needs to focus as he progresses towards high school level. Okay, so there's 5 main phases of the pitching delivery that we look at. Okay, those are hip load, hip lead, hip separation, release, and follow through. And we primarily focus on the hip load and hip lead because those first 2 steps set up the rest of the delivery. Okay, it's like a domino effect. So if we struggle to get the beginning right, it can be very hard for our body to course correct and get the rest of the steps right. Okay, so I provide an example of Marcus Stroman here because he provides a good example of how using proper hip load and hip lead can help set up his body to move efficiently and effectively throughout his entire pitching delivery. Okay, so I'm going to start just by briefly, as simply as I can, going over Stroman's mechanics, and then we'll compare to Brett's. Okay, so first, Stroman goes into his hip load. You'll notice he lifts his front knee towards his back ear and back shoulder. Okay, he also counter rotates his hips just a little bit. We call that the corkscrew. So he ever so slightly elevates his front hip. All right, and he shows that front hip pocket to home plate just a little bit. Okay, we don't want to move too far back towards second with our knee, and we don't want to keep it too far forward. Okay, and we want to make sure we stay tall on that back leg, that post leg, as we go into our hip load. Okay, when we compare it to Brett. Okay, so Brett goes into his delivery here. Okay, you can see that front knee goes probably past his back shoulder back towards second. So I'd like to see his front knee go a little bit more of a direct route here, okay, and not quite so far back past that midline, or past that line that I drew, okay. Next thing you'll notice about Brett is he goes into his hip lead phase. Okay, that front foot comes down and then swings into front foot strike. Okay, so essentially what Brett's doing is he's just stepping into his delivery with that front leg. He's not getting any drive from that back leg at all. All right, comes down, steps into front foot strike. Whereas Stroman, you'll notice he sits his butt back. All right, he sits his butt back and he leads with his hips first down the mound, and his hips are what carry his momentum down the mound and carry his front leg into front foot strike. All right, so for Brett, his front foot's doing all the work to get him down the mound, his front leg. All right, for Stroman, his hips are doing all the work to get him down the mound. Okay, and so you'll notice for Brett, because he's just stepping down the mound at this point, the only option he really has is to open up his chest early and then throw all arm. Okay, so the big thing that we would work on with Brett is we would work on getting his hip load right here, fixing his leg lift, and then getting him to lead with his hips more down the mound so we can better utilize his back hip, or utilize his hips and his legs, and so he's not throwing all arm. All right, because once we start throwing all arm, that's when we lose a lot of velocity, we lose arm health, we lose command, basically all things that we need in order to maximize our pitching ability. Okay, so those are the main things. There's several other things that we could work on with Brett, but like I said, we primarily want to focus on that hip load and hip lead, because if we can fix that, it'll take care of a lot of other issues. Okay, so please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions about this video, if you're curious about drills or things to do that we could help make these mechanical changes. My phone number is 402-806-1723. I'm an old book. I always enjoyed talking baseball and pitching. And yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Go Titans.